Let's look closer on our palette panel. And this will apply to our brush, pen, and fill tool. However, not all properties will open. So if we look first on the pen tool, you'll notice our gradient and image properties disabled. Only what we can select it is a color. And we have a simple color wheel where we can pre-select color, luminosity, and other properties for this color selection. In this corner, kind of top left corner, we have our primary and secondary colors. We can change them by double click, and it will open your system color selections, and this will be different based on what you use a Mac or a PC. Okay, let's go switch back to our primary color. On the bottom, we have our simple black and white for very fast selection. There you go, we can select it. Also, we can select the color by pressing inside considerations and vibrance inside the bottom bar. So we can do the manually input for our colors. Okay, let's go ahead and next we'll look on the fill tool. With fill tool, we also have a gradient. So same things as a color, except now we have the options to work with the gradients. And a gradient tool allowed us to have it move from one color to another. And notice we have it one options. Also we have it how many times we want repeated on this gradient right below. So let's look on the options what we have. On the top, we have a display our colors, and you notice even we have those areas where we already predefined different colors, they're not reflect in our pattern. To enable, we need to go below and just click on the areas if we want to enable specific colors. So this time when we fill it, we fill with our gradient. Currently, we have a very high repeat, so let me go just to 1. And right here, we have our one color. Fill it. And you saw how big pattern was. It was a frequency of repeating that it can specify in repeat mode. As well, it tells us if we want to go vertically or if we want to go horizontally. Remember, the fill properties also were reflected with how we specify. So currently, tolerance is 100%. That will fill most of the selected pixels or closer to this. If our tolerance is much less, and let's select this, then of course it will fill with less pixels, a little bit closer to what pixel we selected. Okay, as in a fill tool, same things. We can select each individual color and change them manually by applying in hues and saturation, so we can change those values. We also can go and select color from our color library that is already we have, or we can always extend and use its system tools to select color this way. So this is to select the color. We also have a library for our gradient. So we can open our gradient library. And in gradient, you can see we already have very beautiful selections of the gradient when we can just simple click and preload it. As well, if you have any modification, you can click on a plus and add gradient to your collection. So this way you can have a very nice preset on them. As we look closer to this, we have the options to open and close our gradient library. We have also options to flip our gradients, inverse, and shift it. So you can see we can shift all our colors to the way we want it. If we continue, we have a global modification. If right here we can modify for each selected color. Right below on the same line we have the global, so it's a hue for global all colors, saturation, and luminosity. Okay, as well, you notice right here we have the options below: stroke, lines, and dots. And this is applied just to specific brushes. Again, on a fill tool, we don't have this. As well, we don't have an image. So let's go ahead and change this. So we'll go reset everything to new. Okay. And we'll go select a tool. If we have it, for example, just simple brush tool, Some of those properties weren't applied, lines applied, but because this brush does not have a dots weren't applied. So we'll go select Start Chaser, which enable for stroke, lines, and dots. So we can select what we want to do with fillet. Okay, let's draw this way. And in the palette, notice as we selecting brush tool, now we have a properties image is available for us. Let's jump back to the gradient for the second. And right here you can see we can apply, now select our dots. We can select apply the gradient to the lines and other properties. So these will be options available. It is if they're available in a type of the brush you're using. And we'll look a little bit closer on them when we start working with the brush tools, creating our own custom brushes. So as we have a new property open for us in a brush presets as an image. Right here you can create preset, fill up with the image, and you can see right here we have a little bit different. We can also with image properties, we have an open image library, so we can use already that pre-created for us. Right here, for example, fishes. As well, we can actually select from the image layer if we have it one, and we can preload it. So we can import. Best when you import it if it's you using the PNG file. Also, next properties, it is rotation for our image, flip, and if you have it additional preloaded, we can repeat it. If we have a PNG file, we can go ahead and preload it. So in this case, you'll notice also we have it similar things. We have it stroke, lines, and dots. So currently applied to the lines. We can also apply it to the strokes, but currently we don't necessarily have those strokes, so our dots won't be affected. However, if we have a different tool and where we're using strokes, so it will apply to them. Like right there, for example. There you go. Except you now hardly can see fishes. But overall, here is our different little bit properties where we can use it in our panel, in our palette. A best way to learn this, just open, play around with all settings. You always can reverse if you need it, or you can always just create new document. This way you better understand and kind of get hand how the palettes work, but they're very powerful and they're going very strong hand by hand with the brush tool when you start selecting different.